at all. I said that having read through Blake Lively's complaints, that it was evident to me that she was likely under the influence when she filed her complaint.
Well, it's still getting messier and messier in the It Ends With Us feud between co-stars Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
So, what happened to Blake Lively? How did one of Hollywood's most adored actresses find herself at the center of a scandal so massive that it completely derailed her career? From glittering red carpets to an industry-wide ban, Blake Lively's fall from grace is one of the most shocking stories to hit Hollywood in years. And it all started with a feud that spiraled out of control, dragging some of the biggest names in the industry, her husband included, into the chaos. Let's break down how the Gossip Girl star went from Hollywood royalty to an outcast, forced to pay a jaw-dropping $400 million in compensation to her former co-star Justin Baldoni.
You're not kidding when you say this is getting messier. The author of that book deleting her Instagram account, another who plays Baldoni's sister in the film, being harassed online.
It all began with what seemed like just another behind-the-scenes squabble. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni were co-stars in the highly anticipated adaptation of the best-selling novel It Ends With Us. On paper, it looked like a match made in Hollywood heaven. Two A-list stars, a beloved book, and a story that promised to be both emotional and gripping. But as the cameras rolled, cracks began to show, and what started as whispers of creative differences soon exploded into a full-blown legal battle. Blake filed a lawsuit against Baldoni in late December, accusing him of inappropriate behavior on set. Her claims were detailed, shocking, and painted a picture of a hostile work environment. She alleged that Baldoni's actions went far beyond what was scripted, describing improvised moments during filming that made her deeply uncomfortable. According to her, there was no discussion or consent regarding certain physical interactions, and there was no intimacy coordinator present during key scenes. The lawsuit also included accusations that Baldoni frequently crossed professional boundaries, making uninvited comments and gestures that, as she described, left her feeling humiliated and degraded. Her legal team insisted that the footage from the movie's set backed up her claims. In one particularly heated moment, Blake's team released a statement describing the footage. Every frame of the released footage corroborates to the letter what Miss Lively described in paragraph 48 of her complaint. They went on to claim that the footage showed Baldoni leaning in, attempting to kiss her, caressing her, and speaking to her in ways that were not in character or part of the script. But Baldoni's team had a very different take, and they weren't about to let the accusations go unanswered.
Is creepy Baldoni getting close to her, obviously making small chatter not in character so as not to make the scene, which didn't require dialogue, awkward.
In a move that shocked the public, Baldoni's lawyer released unedited footage from the set, claiming it completely refuted Blake's narrative. The footage, according to Baldoni's team, showed nothing more than two actors working through an intimate scene professionally and collaboratively. In fact, the video featured Blake herself laughing and engaging in conversations about how to make the scene more romantic. Baldoni's team argued that her discomfort, as she described it, was simply not evident in the raw footage. They claimed that Blake had taken moments out of context and twisted them to fit a narrative that benefited her lawsuit.
Literally, I'm just asking the question, like, how are women allowed to do this? To take something and to make it sound like you survived a because that's what it sounded like to the public.
The release of this footage marked a turning point. Fans who had initially rallied behind Blake after her lawsuit became public began to question the validity of her claims. Social media erupted with debates, with some accusing her of weaponizing her platform and influence to destroy Baldoni's career. Others argued that the footage didn't tell the whole story and that her discomfort might not have been visible on camera. But as the narrative shifted, so did Hollywood's perception of her. The fallout from the lawsuit didn't just stop at public opinion, it sent shockwaves through the industry, with some insiders alleging that Blake's actions had made her radioactive. Rumors began swirling that major studios were quietly dropping her from projects, unwilling to take the risk of working with someone now seen as controversial. One source even claimed that Blake had been in talks for several high-profile roles, but was quietly removed from consideration as the scandal grew. But the most devastating blow came when Baldoni countered with a lawsuit of his own. He accused Blake of defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and sabotage. His legal team argued that Blake's lawsuit wasn't just an attempt to redress grievances, but a calculated move to destroy his reputation and career. In an explosive legal filing, Baldoni's team outlined how they believed Blake had orchestrated a smear campaign against him, using her celebrity status to manipulate public opinion. They also claimed that her husband Ryan Reynolds and her publicist were complicit in the campaign, leading to Baldoni seeking an astronomical $400 million in damages.
The most significant allegations in Baldoni's lawsuit is that Lively sought to gain control over the editing process of the film.
The legal battle quickly turned into a spectacle, with both sides releasing statements, evidence, and counterclaims at a dizzying pace. Baldoni's team, in particular, seemed intent on dismantling Blake's credibility piece by piece. They announced plans to launch a public website that would include additional raw footage, emails, and text messages that they claimed would exonerate Baldoni and expose inconsistencies in Blake's narrative. Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, didn't hold back, declaring, "We have all the receipts and more."
Right? So Baldoni says this was all an effort to hijack the film to get her way. Lively claims she was the victim of harassment in a hostile work environment Not surprising.
The announcement of the website sent shockwaves through Hollywood, with industry insiders speculating about the potential fallout. Many viewed this move as unprecedented, an actor and his team not only fighting back, but going public with behind-the-scenes information that would typically remain confidential during a legal battle. Rumors swirled that the website would include never-before-seen footage from rehearsals, candid moments on set, and even private conversations that Blake had with producers about her growing dissatisfaction with the project. Baldoni's camp claimed they were committed to full transparency, but critics accused them of weaponizing the court of public opinion. This bold strategy also raised ethical questions about privacy and consent. Legal experts weighed in, with some arguing that Baldoni's approach teetered on dangerous ground, potentially violating confidentiality agreements that are standard in Hollywood productions. However, others defended the move, stating that it was a necessary step to counter what they described as a deliberate smear campaign. "We're in uncharted territory here," one entertainment lawyer told a major outlet. "This case isn't just about a legal dispute, it's about controlling the narrative in an era where public perception can make or break a career."
Has denied all of these allegations. They have responded to this filing, this lawsuit, saying,
Meanwhile, Blake's team scrambled to regain control of the narrative. Her attorneys reiterated that the footage Baldoni planned to release was cherry-picked and taken out of context to paint her as the aggressor rather than the victim. They also expressed concerns about the long-term impact this public campaign could have not just on Blake's reputation, but on how Hollywood handles disputes involving its most powerful players. "This isn't just about Blake Lively," her legal team stated. "This is about protecting anyone who speaks out against inappropriate behavior in the workplace." One of the most talked about pieces of evidence was a series of text messages between Blake and Baldoni. In one message, Blake allegedly invited him to her trailer to run lines, mentioning that she was pumping at the time. Baldoni's team argued that this contradicted her claims that his behavior in her trailer had been unwelcome and invasive. Another piece of evidence involved unedited behind-the-scenes footage of a scene Blake had specifically cited in her lawsuit. Baldoni's team pointed out that, contrary to her claims of discomfort, Blake appeared relaxed and even joking during the filming.
Most of his career, he has been a major proponent of feminism, of healthy masculinity. How does it feel for him, though?
As more evidence surfaced, the tide continued to turn against Blake. Even some of her former colleagues began to speak out, painting a picture of someone who, behind the scenes, wasn't as easy to work with as her public image suggested. Rosella Rego, a former extra on Gossip Girl, accused Blake of being horrendous on set, claiming she often acted condescendingly toward others. While these allegations didn't directly relate to the current scandal, they added fuel to the growing narrative that Blake's reputation in Hollywood was far from spotless. Meanwhile, Baldoni's career seemed to weather the storm. While he undoubtedly faced criticism, he also garnered sympathy from those who felt he was the target of a coordinated attack. Some in the industry even began to publicly support him, praising his decision to release evidence and defend himself against what they viewed as baseless accusations. Baldoni's countersuit also sparked discussions about the potential misuse of legal claims in Hollywood, with some arguing that his case could set a precedent for how similar disputes are handled in the future. Ultimately, the legal battle reached its dramatic conclusion when the court ruled in Baldoni's favor. Blake was ordered to pay him $400 million in compensation, a staggering amount that not only devastated her financially, but also sealed her fate in Hollywood. The ruling was seen as a vindication for Baldoni, but for Blake, it marked the end of an era.
That Justin won't be bullied by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. So his lawyer told us that their recent court filings show how scared they are.
With her reputation in tatters and her career effectively over, Blake now faces an uncertain future. Once celebrated as one of Hollywood's brightest stars, she has become a cautionary tale about the dangers of wielding fame and influence recklessly. Her attempts to destroy Baldoni's career not only failed, but backfired spectacularly, leaving her ostracized by an industry that once adored her. So what's next for Blake Lively? Can she ever rebuild her career, or has Hollywood closed its doors to her for good? And what does the scandal say about the power dynamics in the entertainment industry? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This story is far from over, and we'll be watching closely as it continues to unfold. Until next time, stay tuned for more updates on Hollywood's most jaw-dropping